ஐஎம்ஏ பிரேயர். எல்லோரும் மகிழ்வுடன் வாழ, எல்லோரும் நலமுடன் வாழ, வலி என்னும் தொல்லை நீங்கி, அல்லல் செய்யும் இன்னல் நீங்க, பேராசை பிரதிபயன் அகற்றி, பிணி போக்கும் பெரும்பணி ஆற்றுவோம். Now physician prayer by Dr. M. Premavati. Dr. Premavati, unmute yourself. Premavati, unmute. Dr. Premavati, unmute. Premavati, start. Start. Physician prayer by Dr. Premavati.
Good evening. மருத்துவரின் பிரார்த்தனை. எல்லாம் வல்ல இறைவா, உலகின் சிறந்த மருத்துவன் நீயே. உன்னை மண்டியிட்டு வணங்குகின்றேன். உன்னிடமிருந்து நல்லதும் சிறந்ததும் என்னை அடைய பிரார்த்திக்கிறேன். எனது கரங்களுக்கு திறமையை தாரும், எனது மனத்திற்கு தெளிவான பார்வையை தாரும், இருதயத்துக்கு இரக்கத்தையும் கனிவையும் தாரும். எனக்கு அளிக்கப்பட்ட சிறப்பு தகுதியை தக்க வைக்கும் எண்ணம் வாடும் மக்கள் படும் பாட்டினை சிறிதளவாவது போக்கிட ஒன்றுபட்ட எண்ணத்தையும் வழியும் தாரும். என் மனத்திலிருந்து தகாத எண்ணங்களையும் உலகளவு ஆசையும் அறவே ஒதுக்கி பணி செய்திட அருளுமாறு குழந்தை போன்று உன்னை சார்ந்து வேண்டுகின்றேன்.
IMA Pundamalai High Road branch and members of Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati.
Video தெரியல.
I welcome you all for the important program of breastfeeding awareness and World Organ Donation Day. And I welcome our speakers, Dr. Meenakshi, neonatologist, and Dr. J. Amlorpavanathan, vascular surgeon, and Rotractor Veerottram Satya, and Ms. Suguna Devi, Rotarian Suguna Devi, and Dr. Renuka Ramakrishnan, Director of Community Health Services. Over to Suguna.
Yes, Dr. Renuka, I request you to welcome on behalf of RCCB. Welcome everybody.
Good evening to one and all. I am Rotarian Dr. Renuka Ramakrishnan, Director of Community Health Services. I welcome you all on behalf of Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati, President Rotarian Swarnalata Mahesh, and the team. I am very happy to be a part of this wonderful program along with Indian Medical Association Pundamalai High Road branch. I welcome Dr. Raghurama Rao, President, and Dr. Jamuna Rani, Secretary, and also Finance Secretary, Dr. C.S.S. Shetty, and all the other members, senior members, as well as all the other members of Indian Medical Association of the Pundamalai High Road, as well as any other member from any Indian Medical Association. I welcome you all on behalf of Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati for this wonderful program. I also welcome them, Dr. J. Amlorpavanathan, who is giving this organ donation awareness program, as well as Dr. Meenakshi, neonatologist on breastfeeding awareness, and our Rotractor, Satya, from Rotary Club of Chennai. I welcome you all on behalf of Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, ma'am, Dr. Jamuna Rani, ma'am, and the Indian Medical Association Pundamalai High Road branch. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka. Over to Dr. Jamuna ma'am to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Meena.
I welcome our first speaker, Dr. Meenakshi, to tell about her. She has done her MBBS in JSS Medical College of University of Mysore and passed MBBS in 2000. She has done her MD Pediatric in Manipal Academy of Higher Education and completed in July 2006. Done her DPNB neonatology training at Mehta Children Hospital, Chennai. Now she is an head of the department in pediatrics at St. Isabel Hospital, Chennai. She has worked in various hospitals like Apollo First Med and Apollo Children Hospital, and she has worked as registrar NICU at Dr. Mehta Children Hospital, and she has worked in Child Trust Hospital, Nungambakam, and also she has worked in CSI Rainey Hospital, and she has done many case presentations in many case presentations like at Chennai City Neonatal Forum, few important things are she has done presentation in intracranial cystic lesions in newborns, inborn errors of metabolism in neonates, and fetal anemia. Now she is teaching for dependent pediatric students at St. Isabel Hospital from 2014. Over to Dr. Meenakshi, neonatologist, to introduce about the breastfeeding awareness. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I thank all of you for the opportunity given for me to make my presentation. At the outset, I would like to thank the IMA Punamali branch and the Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati for giving me an opportunity to talk. I would be happy if it would be an informal talk. Okay. So yes. So I'm. Yes.
I was there only for some time. Then the patient went. He was there fully.
Madam, are you able to hear me, madam?
Yes, yes.
Yes. I'll be also sharing my screen. Okay. So I'm here to introduce to you some basics on breastfeeding awareness and human milk. Just one minute. Just one minute. Slideshow. So this would be the basic framework of my presentation. So now coming to what is exclusive breastfeeding, I think many of us know about it. It is giving mother's milk to the baby, either direct breastfeeding or express breast milk to the baby till 6 months of life. And during this time, we do not recommend giving any water, sugar, honey, or anything like that. So this is a recommendation set at both national and international level. So this is continued till 6 months of life. Beyond 6 months of life, we start complementary feeding for the babies. And breastfeeding can also be continued till 1 year to 2 years of age, depending upon the wishes of the mother. Now, going to the next point. When do we start? Where do we start? For this, I would like to introduce the golden hour of breastfeeding. So this is nothing but the first hour as soon as the baby is born. Just like how in trauma care and all that, we have the golden hour that is important for the success of, the outcomes in a trauma patient. This is very important in establishing the success of, successful breastfeeding. So this has 3 important components which I would like to highlight. One is delayed cord clamping. So this is the first component. This is nothing but after the baby is born, we delay, okay, that is clamping and cutting of the umbilical cord for up to 1 minute at least. This is the WHO recommendation. Now, why this is done is because it is said to improve the blood supply to the baby. There is more blood flowing into the baby. There's more hemoglobin flowing into it. It improves the iron stores. It improves the blood volume, the heart function of the baby. It also has a lot of benefits in the mother, in the sense it reduces the problems of bleeding once the placenta separates and all that. So this is one of the recent recommendations that we are following. The second recommendation, which is my most favorite, is the skin-to-skin contact with the mother. So this means as soon as the baby is born, unlike the traditional way in which as soon as the baby is born, the nurse or the doctor runs with the baby to the baby care area or the warmer and then says we have to dry the baby, we have to take the weight of the baby, we will examine the baby and then come and show the baby to you. Now there is a deviation. Now, as soon as the baby is born, we would like the baby to be kept directly on the chest of the mother. The doctor or the healthcare worker can just observe provided the baby has of course cried well at birth. The doctor or the healthcare worker can observe the basic functions of the baby over the mother's chest. We do not have to separate the baby from the mother. And things like, drying the baby or, taking the weight of the baby, giving injection vitamin K, all these things can be delayed for at least an hour. Okay, there is no emergency to take a weight of a baby as soon as the baby is born. So as soon as the baby is born, we put the baby on the mother's chest. Okay, And we delay the non-urgent task for at least about 60 minutes. Now so this is the second most important component. And the third the component of this golden hour is within this hour's time, we would like to initiate breastfeeding. At least, if not, if you're not able to get a mother to feed the baby directly within this hour, at the just skin to skin contact with the baby, with the both baby and the mother, just the baby over the mother, will give lot of benefits to the mother. And how does this help? This helps, number one, to regulate the baby's temperature. It actually decreases the stress levels in both the babies and the mothers. These babies turn out to be less fussy. They have less crying spells. They are able to regulate their behavior better. Okay, and the mothers they're supposed to get more sleep. And the same thing with the mother. Mother is also more relaxed. Mother also gets more sleep. It improves the bonding between both of them. And the most important thing is it increases the successful rates of breastfeeding. So the dictum, what I say is, the earlier you start feeding and the more frequently you give, the faster your milk supply will improve. The faster you will start getting your flow of milk. As we all know, first 2 to 3 days, the milk flow is basically in drops. But for the let-in to come, it takes about 2 to 3 days. So this can very well be improved with direct skin-to-skin contact with the mother. And this is one thing we should all try to follow in our day-to-day practice. And it also has benefits to the mother also. It is because of with the skin-to-skin care and early initiation of feeding, there's a lot of this oxytocin and prolactin that's released. So that will help the uterus to contract. So it also decreases the incidence of bleeding in the mother. So skin-to-skin contact of the baby with the mother is of utmost significance. Now, how do we initiate and maintain breastfeeding? So for this, I would like to just run through the baby-friendly hospital initiatives which are proposed by both the UNICEF and the WHO. So most of the birthing, as we all know, takes place in the hospital or primary health centers. I think that is important because there is a shift from home deliveries now to healthcare center deliveries. So it is important that all the healthcare centers where birthing is taking place, they make breastfeeding as their standard policy. The staff who are involved in looking after the baby and the mother should be adequately trained on the benefits of breastfeeding, on initiation of breastfeeding, positioning, latching. So their skills have to be enhanced. Now, this is another favorite topic of mine, that is antenatal care. Educating the mothers for breastfeeding should start in the antenatal period itself. This is one place where I find that there is a lot of lacunae. During the antenatal period itself, the mother should be counseled either by the obstetrician or the pediatric team, or even a trained nurse, on the benefits of breastfeeding. She must be taught about this golden hour. What is this golden hour? Okay, how important it is to initiate feeding at an early stage itself, and what is demand feeding. So all these things should be explained, I feel, not only to the mother, but to the immediate family members, so that they are also prepared for it. Because most of the time I find that once the delivery is over, the mothers are very tired, exhausted, whether it's a cesarean or a normal delivery. Whenever we go and talk to them about feeding, most of them start sleeping. They literally fall off to sleep. So this is an important, point of care. Okay, where in the antenatal period, we sensitize them. Of course, then the next point is care right after birth. So this includes skin-to-skin contact with both the baby and the mother, which I have already highlighted. Supporting the mothers with breastfeeding. Now, this is important, especially in when healthcare workers are involved. So they should, counsel the mother on what are the positioning techniques, what are the latching techniques. So many of them have confusion. Should I lie down and feed? Should I sit and feed? Basically, positioning, there are a lot of positioning techniques, and whichever technique, even if it's a lying down position, if done safely, it is recommended. Okay, so it is not that you have to only sit like this and you have to only position like this. So whatever position is comfortable for both the baby and the mother can be recommended. So the importance of positioning, latching should be highlighted at this stage. And because this can prevent a lot of problems, like the breastfeeding problems, like sore nipple, engorgement, all those things. And other thing is, in case problems are developing, early recognition of problems also becomes very important. So at this stage itself, even before the mother leaves the hospital, we should sensitize her to all these facts. Yes. Now, the next point is supplementing feeding. So basically, supplementing feeding is basically in addition to direct breastfeeds. Sometimes a situation may come where we may have to, give additional milk. Now, what is this additional milk? It could be preferably the mother's express breast milk. So one more important point is, in case for some reason the mother is not able to, start breastfeeding initially, immediately after birth, we should give her enough opportunity to start expressing her milk. She can hand express her milk with the help of, the people around her. We have lot of technological advance now. We have a variety of breast pumps which can aid her in that. So again, the earlier she starts expressing milk, the more frequently she expresses, the more she'll start producing milk at the earliest. So this is one thing which we should highlight to her. So in case we are not able to directly breastfeed, we can start expressing the milk and giving, or in the next option would be using the donor breast milk, which I think we have a talk about. So this is especially important for basically preterm babies. So not just term babies, preterm babies also require mother's milk, and most of the time they are separated from the mother. They are kept in the NICU. So even for these babies, we start introducing milk as soon as they're stable, sometimes even within 24 hours of life. Giving formula to these babies could be harmful. It could lead to a condition where their intestines get damaged. It's called necrotizing enterocolitis. The risk is very high with the formula, but it is significantly reduced when you're using mother's express breast milk or a donor breast milk. So this should be strongly encouraged. Then rooming in. Rooming in is the concept in which you allow the mother and the baby to be together as much as possible. Whether it, even in the NICU, if the baby is on a ventilator or is receiving oxygen, we allow the baby to go and sit with the mother for some time. So rooming in, makes the mother more relaxed. Okay, and this is also now relevant even in the COVID scenario. The recent recommendations, even in this COVID era, is even if the mother is COVID positive and say the baby is COVID negative, we are still recommending that the baby can be roomed in with the mother, but of course with a little bit of physical distancing, maybe about 3 meters apart or 6 feet apart. Okay, and the mother can continue to breastfeed the baby after putting appropriate mask and using hand hygiene measures. Now, this is another thing which is of my interest, that is responsive feeding. Many places I hear saying that, every 2 hours feed the baby. Breastfeeding is not like, setting an alarm. Okay. What we have to encourage is feeding on demand. We have to go to cue-based feeding. We have to look at early signs of, hunger by these babies. You will find that they will start turning their head this side, that side. They'll start taking their hand to the mouth. They will start slowly moving their hands and legs. This is the time the mother should start, feeding the baby. The crying is a late stage of hunger. So this is what is called cue-based feeding, and this is what I recommend when compared to feeding every 2 hours around the clock. But we just tell them that in case, especially in the initial, few days, if the baby is sleeping for more than 4 hours, you can try waking them up and continuing feeds. So cue-based feeding has more successful breastfeeding rates than on the clock feeding, because sometimes if the baby is in deep sleep and you know try to make the baby feed, they will just do a little sucks and then they'll go off to sleep. Then the mother gets depressed. My baby is not feeding. My baby is not is sleeping all the time. So this is what we have to educate them: cue-based feeding. Of course, bottled teats and fast pacifiers should be strongly discouraged. Yeah. And at the time of discharge, it is important that we educate and empower the mothers with enough information so that they don't get panic. So we should tell them what are the signs that are important to to note in the child, whether her feeding is adequate. Everybody has this doubt: my baby is crying the whole night, I don't know if my feed is adequate. So you should tell them that first 2 to 3 days their urine output may be a bit less, maybe they may pass once a day or twice a day. Because this is again one more thing: in many hospitals I see the sisters coming with charts: how many times your baby passed urine, how many times your baby passed urine. Parents get panicky. In the first 2 to 3 days of life, they pass less urine, maybe even once or twice a day. By the time they're about 4 to 5 days old, they should be passing urine at least 4 to 6 times per day. And they also develop a pattern of about frequent stooling. So we have to tell them that we have to monitor the weight gain, and look at their sleep pattern. And as long as the baby is demanding feeds and sucking well, that ensures that the baby is for all purposes healthy. And even supporting these mothers after discharge is of paramount importance. So for this, we have our nurses, we have our lactation consultants, and even empowering the family members. This I felt is very important. You tell the husband or the grandmother, because most of the time these people are the ones who get panic, and then they panic the mother also. So educating the grandparents, who are going to be in the immediate contact with the mother, is also important. So we have a lot of technology to our advantage. We have all types of breast pumps. We have now facilities where we can store milk in the freezer. We can even store it for even 6 months. Okay, now coming to the next question, last question: why is it that we have to give mother's milk to the baby? Of course, we know that it has a lot of infant health benefits. It offers, it's very soothing for the baby and the mother. It improves bonding. It prevents infections. It protects against childhood obesity, and even later problems like hypertension, diabetes, and all that. It also improves dental health. And what is most important is mother's milk is very dynamic. It is very species specific. It's not just species specific, it is even mother baby dyad specific. So it keeps changing day to day. The composition changes even minute to minute. It all depends upon what the mother is exposed to. If I am exposed to, if a particular mother is exposed to a certain virus, she starts, or a bacteria, or whatever infection, she starts producing antibodies. Next week, she's exposed to another virus. The baby gets protection from that also through her antibodies. So it keeps changing. It's a dynamic thing. Whereas if you take what is this formula milk, it tries to mimic the breast milk in chemistry, chemical composition. They try to mimic, but then you do not have the biological properties, which are so important as far as the brain growth is concerned, or the immunological, the prevention of infection is concerned. Okay, and other thing is cow's milk. We all know that cow's milk actually has 3 times more protein than human milk. But then the quality of protein that is there is different in cow's milk. So what is there in mother's milk suits the baby. So the mother's milk is generally more rich in whey proteins and all that, and it also has so many essential amino acids. So even if you see the fat content, it's almost the same in both. But then mother's milk has a lot of this, they say this unsaturated fatty acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids, like which help in the brain growth of the baby. So these are the things which we should stress to the mothers. So it has protection to infection, it improves their immunity, it protects them from obesity, and then it improves the bonding and the overall mental IQ of the baby. Even the mother also has a lot of benefits. It causes the release of all good hormones like prolactin, oxytocin. It promotes a sense of love, attachment, peaceful. The mother experiences peace during that time. And it also it decreases the risk of breast and ovarian cancer for the mother later in life. It also reduces the risk of developing diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol level. Okay, and it also helps in the uterus to contract after birth, so that everything comes to the same state as before pregnancy. It decreases the bleeding that the mother can experience after delivery. It also delays the mother's return of her menstrual periods, which can help in the spacing of pregnancies. So with this, I just want to conclude that breast milk saves life, provides, ensures, makes, bonds. It reduces the mother's and the baby's risk of lot of health related problems. It helps mother to space her pregnancies. It saves money. It also protects the environment. There is no need for packing and disposal. So with this, this is my last slide. This is the 2020 logo, what we are promoting now. Support breastfeeding for a healthier planet. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Meenakshi. Thank you very much. Suguna, unmute.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So thank you so much, doctor. That was a wonderful insight. And in fact, a lot of things we actually came to know, though I'm a mother of 11th standard son, and I'm sure like I'm going to take this to other parents who are, moms to be actually. So, today we have with us Veerotum Satya. Okay, could be a little different name, but why have we brought him here? That's a wonderful experience that we had. He is a rotractor, very young by age, but then he is actually from the Rotract Club of Chennai. And who is a rotractor? Is anyone who's in a college, right? We call them as rotractors. But he, at his age of 18, he took a beautiful step of creating human milk bank actually. And he had to go talk to, he has just shared with me saying that he had to talk with many moms to be asking them, is it possible for them to donate a few drops of milk for those children, kids who were just born and who could not get the mother's milk. So that was a wonderful experience that he's going to share with us. So Veerotum Satya, over to you. Yes.
Hi ma'am, good evening everyone. Yes. Myself rotractor Veerotum Satya from Rotract Club Chennai. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கு உங்க கூட எல்லாருக்குமே. இந்த ஒரு விஷயத்த இன்னைக்கு நான் ஒரு 5 years முன்னாடி இதை ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது இந்த டாபிக் பேசுறதுக்கு இங்கே யாருக்குமே லைக் சின்ன பசங்க எங்களை மாதிரி ஆளுங்களுக்கு தைரியம் இல்லை, பெரியவங்களுக்கு யாருக்கும் அதை பேச நேரம் இல்லை, இந்த மாதிரி இருந்துச்சு. ஆனால் இன்னைக்கு ஒவ்வொரு எல்லாருமே ரோட்ராக்டும் சரி, வெளியில இருக்க மக்களும் சரி, இந்த தாய்ப்பாலோட அருமையும் சரி, தாய்மை அடைந்தவங்களும் சரி, எல்லாருமே ஈஸியாக பேசுகிறாங்க. ரொம்ப சென்சிட்டிவான டாபிக். இதை எடுக்கும்போது எனக்கு ரொம்ப தயக்கமாக இருந்துச்சு. இன்னைக்கு நீங்கள்லாம் பேசும்போது, இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு மீட்டிங்ஸ் அட்டன் பண்ணும்போது, பர் வீக் ஒரு மீட்டிங் இந்த மாதிரி அட்டன் பண்ணுறேன், எல்லாருமே இதை பற்றி இருக்கும்போது எனக்கு ரொம்ப ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கும். நல்ல விஷயத்தை நம்ம கையில் எடுத்திருக்கோம். ஸோ எடுத்த விஷயம் இன்னைக்கு எல்லாருக்கும் பரவி இருக்கு. இன்னைக்கு எல்லாருமே இதை பற்றி பேசுகிறாங்க. எனக்கு ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு.
Yeah, that's really nice, Satya. One question from our side is you told us from your 18 years you started this. So what made you do this and how did you do this?
இது 18 வயசுல பார்த்தீங்கன்னா நான் காலேஜில் நான் பிரசிடெண்டாக இருந்தேன். பிஎம்ஆர் இன்ஜினியரிங் காலேஜ் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு கிளப்ல பிரசிடென்ட் காலேஜில். ஸோ அப்போ லைக் நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணுவோம், எக்கச்சக்க ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணுவோம். ரோட்டரியில் பண்ணும்போது உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் எவ்வளோ வேரி 4 அப்படின்னு சர்வீஸில் ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணுவோம். லைக் நான் எப்போதுமே என்னன்னா, எனக்கு உயிரோட்டம்ங்கிற நேம் அப்போலேருந்து தான் எனக்கு ஒரு நேமாக மாறிச்சு. என்னன்னா, நான் நிறைய ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணுவேன். அதில் இந்த ஃப்ரெண்ட் ஹார்ட்லேருந்து தான் பண்ணணும், எதுவுமே கடமைக்கு பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படிங்கிற மைண்ட் செட்டில் இருக்கும். ஸோ என்னைக்கு நேரில் நான் எதை பார்க்குறனோ, கஷ்டமாக பார்க்கணும், அது எது எனக்கு தேவைப்படுதோ நான் அதை தான் என்றைக்குமே பண்ண ஆரம்பித்தேன். ஸோ அப்படிப்பட்ட ஒரு விஷயம் தான். எக்மோர் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் வெளில, நம்ம எக்மோர் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்லேருந்து ஒரு 100 meters வெளில ஒரு அம்மா பிளாட்ஃபார்ம்லேருந்து ஒரு அம்மா குழந்தைய பெற்று போட்டு இறந்துட்டாங்க. பெற்று போட்ட குழந்தைய பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ரத்தம் படிய ஒரு மாதிரி இப்படி ஒரு மாதிரி குழந்தை இருந்துச்சு. எனக்கு ஃபஸ்ட் டைம் பார்க்குறேன். ஒரு கூட்டமாக மக்களாக நானும் வேடிக்கை பார்க்குறேன். என்னாச்சுன்னு தெரியல, அவங்க அம்மா இறந்துட்டாங்க. இந்த குழந்தைய ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்லேருந்து ஒருத்தன் கையில் எடுத்து எடுத்துட்டு போறாங்க. நான் ஃபாலோ பண்ணியே போறேன். போய் பார்த்தா அவங்களோட பேபி வார்ட்ல என்னை உள்ள சேர்க்கவே இல்லை. உள்ள கொண்டு போய் குழந்தைய கொண்டு போய் இன்குபேட்டர் இடத்துல வைக்கிறாங்க. எனக்கு ஜன்னல் வழியா தெரியுது அது இன்குபேட்டர் கண்ணாடி பாக்ஸ் மாதிரி இருக்கு. அந்த நர்ஸ் உள்ள கொண்டு போனவங்களை திரும்பி வரும்போது நான் அவங்களுக்கு கேட்குறேன், இது எங்கே கொண்டு போறீங்க அந்த குழந்தைய அப்படின்னு கேட்குறேன். அவங்க சொல்றாங்க, இன்குபேட்டர்ப்பா, அவங்க குறை மாசத்துல கொஞ்சம் பேபி வந்து 800 கிராம்ஸ் அந்த மாதிரி தான் இருந்தாங்க. ஸோ குறை மாசத்துல இருக்காங்க. ஸோ அவங்களுக்காக வைக்கணும். அப்படியாங்க, சரி ஓகே. அவங்க அம்மா இறந்துட்டாங்க, அவங்க தாய்ப்பால் எப்படி கொடுப்பீங்க அப்படின்னு நான் கேட்குறேன். அவங்க சொல்றாங்க, யாராவது டொனேட் பண்ணா கொடுப்போம்ப்பா, இல்லைன்னா வந்து டின் பவுடர்ஸ் இந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருக்கு, நாங்கள் கொடுப்போம்னு சொல்லுவோம். எனக்குள்ள அதுக்குள்ள ஒரு திங்கிங், எப்படி வந்து இதை அந்த குழந்தை எப்படி வளரப்போகுது, அவங்க அம்மா இறந்துட்டாங்க, இதுக்கப்புறம் நான் எப்படிலாம் இருக்க போகுதுன்னு தெரியல. நான் வீட்டுக்கு வரேன், கூகுளில் சர்ச் பண்ணுறேன் தாய்ப்பால் பற்றி. அப்போ தான் எனக்கு கியூரியாசிட்டி வருது, தாய்ப்பால் எப்படி கிடைக்கும், இப்போ இல்லை அப்படின்னு இன்னொருத்தவங்க பாலை கொடுக்கலாமா, அது நடக்குமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லி படிக்கிறேன். படிச்சுட்டு வந்து கீழே ஒரு ஆடு வருது, தாய்ப்பால் வந்து விலைக்கு விற்கப்படும், 200 rupees 300 rupees சென்னையில் இருக்கிற ஒரு பிரைவேட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் சேல் பண்றாங்க. எனக்கு ஒரே ஷாக், என்னடா பிளட்டை தான் வித்தீங்க, தாய்ப்பாலை கூட விற்பீங்களா அப்படின்னு சொல்லி எனக்கு ஒரு பெரிய ஷாக். ஏன்னா நம்ம எல்லாம் நான் ஃப்ரீயா தான் குடிச்சேன், இங்க இருக்க எல்லாருமே நீங்களும் ஃப்ரீயா அம்மாட்ட இருந்து குடிச்சிருப்பீங்க. ஆனா இன்னொருத்தங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கக்கூடிய தாய்ப்பாலை கூட காசுக்கு வாங்குறாங்கன்னு சொல்லி ரொம்ப ஏக்கமா இருந்துச்சு. அதுக்கப்புறம் ஸ்டெப் ஆன் பண்ண ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் தான் இது. ஸோ இதுக்கப்புறம் நான் ஒரு மெக்கானிக்கல் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்னால பையனால பேச ரொம்ப தயக்கமா இருந்துச்சு. காலப்போக்கில் ஸ்டெப் பை ஸ்டெப்பா பண்ணி இன்னைக்கு ஒரு மில்க் பேங்க் கட்டுற அளவுக்கு இந்த இது வந்திருக்கு. ஸோ இன்னைக்கு எனக்கு எந்த இடத்துலையுமே ஒரு பப்ளிக் கேதரிங்ல போய் இது பேசுறதுக்கோ, இது ஒரு பையன் அப்படிங்கிறதுலாம் எனக்கு தயக்கமே இல்லை. ஐ எம் 24 years ரைட் நவ். ஸோ என்னோட 18 year முடிகிறப்ப நான் இதை ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணேன். ஒரு 5 years நிறைய ஸ்டடி பண்ணியிருக்கேன். இன்னைக்கு மேம் வந்து பிபிடி எடுத்த மாதிரி இந்த பிபிடியில் இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் நான் ஸ்டார்டிங்ல புரியாது எனக்கு. ஸோ இவ்வளோ விஷயம் இருக்கா ஒரு சின்ன தாய்ப்பால் அப்படின்னு. இன்னைக்கு நான் இதுக்காக ஒரு பெரிய புக்கில் சொன்னா கூட அவ்வளோ புக்கே எழுதுறேன். அந்த அளவுக்கு ஒரு எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஒரு இந்த சின்ன வயசுல கிடைச்சிருக்கு அப்படின்னா கண்டிப்பாக இந்த ரோட் ட்ராக்ட் அண்ட் ரோட்ரி இவங்க எல்லாருமே எனக்கு சப்போர்ட் பண்ண விதம், அதர் ரோட் ட்ராக்டர்ஸ், என் பேரண்ட்ஸ் சுற்றிவங்க எல்லாம் சப்போர்ட் பண்ண விதத்தினால இன்னைக்கு இந்த ப்ராஜெக்ட் இவ்வளவு பெருசா இருக்குமா. சோ அங்கதான் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுச்சு.
Wow, fantastic, Satya. Hats off to you. That was a wonderful initiative from a very young boy. உண்மையிலே அதை கேட்கும்போது எங்களுக்கு ஒரு விழிப்புணர்வு தான் ஆக்சுவலி. தட் வாஸ் நைஸ். பட் சத்யா, நான் இன்னொன்று உங்ககிட்ட கேள்விப்பட்டது என்னன்னா, இப்போ எந்தெந்த ஊர்ல உங்களுக்கு இந்த மில்க் பேங்கோட இது நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க?
எனக்கு பாத்தீங்க அப்படின்னா எனக்கு ஒரு விஷயம் தெரிஞ்சது. பிரேசில்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா 290 மில்க் பேங்க்ஸ் இருக்கு. நம்ம இந்தியாவோட குழந்தை பிறப்பு விதத்துல 5ல் 1 பங்கு தான் இருக்கு. அங்க 260 மில்க் பேங்க்ஸ் இருக்கு. மேக்ஸிமம் மில்க் பேங்க் ஃப்ரீ ஆஃப் காஸ்ட்ல தான் இருக்கு. ஆனா நம்ம ஊர்ல மொத்தமா 60 மில்க் பேங்க் தான் இருக்கு. அதுல மேக்ஸிமம் பிரைவேட் செக்டர்ல தான் இருக்கு. நம்ம தமிழ்நாடு உண்மையாவே நல்லாவே டெவலப் ஆயிருக்கு. தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து லாஸ்ட் சிஎம் ஜெயலலிதா கவர்மெண்ட் இருந்ததுல இருந்து மில்க் பேங்க் நிறைய ஓபன் பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டாங்க. ஸோ இப்போ பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 60+ அப்படிங்கிறது தான் இருக்கு. எனக்கு என்னன்னா, நமக்கு தேவைங்கிற மில்க் பேங்க் இங்க செட்டப் அமையணும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு எண்ணம் தான். ஃபர்ஸ்ட் என்னோட பிளான் 1 கட்ட முடியுமா அப்படின்னு தான் நினைச்சேன். ஸோ அப்புறம் 1ங்கிறத 5 ஆக்குனேன். 5ங்கிறது இப்போ நான் 7 ஆக்கியிருக்கேன். 7ங்கிறது இன்னொரு 2 or 3 இயர்ஸ்க்கு அப்புறம் 100 ஆக்குவேன். ஸோ என்னோட கோல் வந்து ரொம்ப பெருசு. இந்த 5 years 10 yearsன்னு இல்லை. என்னோட ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பிளான் வந்து பாத்தீங்கன்னா சென்னையில பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சேன். சென்னையில பாத்தீங்கன்னா நமக்கு எக்மோர் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் ஆல்ரெடி கவர்மெண்ட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் இருக்கு. இதெல்லாம் பிரைவேட்ல ஒரு 2-3 ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்கு. அதுல ஒரு பெரிய இதுலயும் இருக்கு. ஸோ இது இல்லாம என்னைக்கு எங்க ஃபர்ஸ்ட் தேவைப்படும் பார்த்தேன், பொள்ளாச்சி கவர்மெண்ட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் செட் பண்ணி முடிச்சுட்டேன். நான் கோவிட் ஜூன்ல தான் ஓப்பன் பண்ணேன். இதுக்கப்புறம் பாத்தீங்கன்னா சண்டிகர் பூரியில பண்றேன். பூரியில இல்லவே இல்லை. பூரியில இப்ப கட்ட ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். அதுக்கான ஒர்க் ஸ்டார்ட் ஆயிடுச்சு. இது முடிஞ்ச பிறகு பாத்தீங்கன்னா ஒவ்வொரு ஏரியாவுக்கு போறோம். இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு 7 ஏரியாவை கவர் பண்ண வச்சிருக்கேன்.
ஓகே, அதாவது திருவண்ணாமலை, திருவள்ளூர், பெங்களூர் நார்த், செங்கல்பட்டு அண்ட் திருநெல்வேலி உங்க பிளான்ல இருக்குன்னு பார்த்தேன்.
இப்போதைக்கு
Yeah, very good, very good. We will see maximum what support from Rotarians, and today we have Doctor Fraternity also here. So whatever it is, very nice and well done, Satya. And இப்போ உங்களோட மெசேஜ், suppose in short, இப்போ நீங்க if you want to give a message to all those who are in the meeting here.
எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரே ஒரு விஷயம் தான், மில்க் பேங்க் கட்டணும் அப்படிங்கிற அவசியம்லாம் இல்லை. பேசிக்கா எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு எண்ணம் வேணும். இப்ப இருக்க உங்க பசங்க எல்லாருக்குமே ஒரு இது என்னன்னா, மேக்ஸிமம் நிறைய பேர் தாய்ப்பால் கொடுக்காது. 2 ரீசன். ஒன்னு, அழகு போயிடும், எங்களுக்கு வந்து நாங்க ஃபேட் ஆயிடுறோம், எங்களால வந்து நல்லா இருக்க முடியல. இன்னொன்னு வந்து குழந்தைக்கு பல்லெல்லாம் முளைச்சோன்னா கடிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சுன்னு சொல்லி ரொம்ப ஷார்ட் டைம்லேயே வந்து ஸ்டாப் பண்ணி ஒரு 6 மாசம் வரைக்கும் கம்பல்சரி கொடுங்க. மேம் சொன்னாங்க 2 years வரைக்கும் கொடுத்தாங்க அப்படின்னா ரொம்ப யூஸ்ஃபுல் அவங்க அம்மாவை பொறுத்து அப்படின்னு. ஸோ நிறைய பேர் ஸ்டாப் பண்ணிடுறாங்க. ஒரு பேசிக்கானா இந்த தாய்ப்பாலை வந்து இங்க காசு கமர்ஷியல் ஆக்கிட்டாங்க. நம்ம ஊர்ல வந்து கமர்ஷியல் ஆக்கிட்டாங்க. இது கமர்ஷியல் ஆகவே கூடாது. பிளட் தான் இப்போ கமர்ஷியல் ஆயிடுச்சு. பிளட் நம்ம கொடுக்குறோம், பட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ் வந்து நான் தப்பா சொல்லல, பட் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் கமர்ஷியலா தான் பாக்குறாங்க இந்த விஷயத்த. இந்த தாய்ப்பால் தாய்ப்பால்ன்ற விஷயம் கமர்ஷியலா என்னைக்குமே ஆயிடக்கூடாது. உங்க வீட்டுல வந்து உங்க பசங்க இருக்கலாம், இல்லை நான் ஃபியூச்சர்ல அப்பாவா தான் ஆக போறேன், நாளைக்கு என் தம்பியும் ஒரு அப்பாவா போறேன், என் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் என்னோட காலேஜ் மேட்ஸ் காலேஜ் ஸ்கூல்ஸ் எல்லாரும் சொல்லி ஃபியூச்சர்ல எல்லாருமே ஒரு தாயாவோ தந்தையோ தான் ஆக போறோம். தயவு செய்து நம்ம தாய்ப்பாலை நம்ம டொனேட் பண்ணணும், மற்றவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கணும். ஸோ நாளைக்கு நமக்கு இல்லை இப்போ நம்ம குழந்தை சத்தா இருக்க மாதிரி பக்கத்தில் உள்ள குழந்தையும் சத்தா இருக்கணும். ஏன்னா இப்போ இருக்கக்கூடிய ஃபுட்ஸ் எல்லாம் செட் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது. இப்போ இருக்க நிறைய பேர் பால் சுரக்கலாம் மாட்டேங்குது. சில பேரால் 6 மாசம் கொடுத்தாலே பெரிய விஷயமா இருக்கு, நிறைய பேர் பால் சுரக்க கூட மாட்டேங்குது. நிறைய கமெண்ட்ஸ் வருது. எனக்கு மில்க் கேட்டு கால் பண்றவங்க மேக்ஸிமம் பீப்புள் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா அவங்க எனக்கு பாலே வரல சார், எனக்கு அரேஞ்ச் பண்ணி தர முடியுமா அப்படின்னா. ஸோ தயவு செய்து தாய்ப்பாலை டொனேட் பண்ணுங்க. காசுக்கு எங்கேயாவது பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா தயவு சண்டை கூட போடுங்க. ஏன்னா இந்த தாய்ப்பாலை நம்ம சமூகத்தில் விற்க கூடாது. நம்ம அந்த மாதிரி கலாச்சாரத்துல இருக்கவங்க ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா இருக்கு. இப்ப பார்க்கும்போது கண்டிப்பா உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே ஷாக்கா கூட இருக்கும், என்னடா தாய்ப்பாலை காசுக்கு விற்கிறாங்களான்னு. ஸோ உங்க எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு ரெக்வஸ்ட், நாளைக்கு நீங்க தாய்ப்பால் யாரு இருந்தாலும் எக்ஸ்ட்ரா இருக்கா டொனேட் பண்ணுமா, கம்மியா இருக்கா இன்னொரு வந்து வாங்குமா. தயவு செய்து காசுக்கு போய் வாங்குறதை என்கரேஜ் பண்ணாதீங்க. அது மட்டும் தான் என்னோட கைண்ட் அட்வைஸோட ரெக்வஸ்ட்னு வச்சுக்கோங்களேன்.
Yeah, very good, Satya. That was really nice, a very good message. And I also take it this way. இப்போ நம்ம ஒரு பிரெக்னென்ட் மாம் பார்க்கும்போது நம்ம எப்படி ஒருத்தங்கள்ட்ட பிளட் டொனேஷன் பண்ணுங்கன்னு எல்லார்கிட்டையும் நம்ம வந்து ப்ராபகண்டா பண்றோமோ, ஆர்கன் டொனேஷன், பிளட் டொனேஷன், அது மாதிரி we can also start telling people, உங்களுக்கு எக்ஸஸ் மில்க் இருந்தா ப்ளீஸ் டொனேட்டட் மில்க் பேங்க்ஸ் இருக்கு. It will definitely support just born babies actually. Well done, Satya. So now I just open the forum. Anyone who wish to ask question to Satya or would like to clarify something, because he is the youngest here, who's actually I find it really interesting and really a wow factor here. Anyone would like to ask him anything, please, you can talk to him.
This is Dr. Sethi.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us your telephone number and address so that we can get in touch with you and get more people in touch with you?
Fantastic. Satya, please give it in the message to doctor.
A great gesture, sir. Great gesture. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, doctor. Yes.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yes. Anybody else?
Satya,
All the best, Satya.
தேங்க்யூ சார்.
Satya, there's another question. Yeah.
How much you collect? How do you collect?
Hello.
How
Hello.
you are preserving it?
Sir, I am from Coimbatore, sir. So I want,
Sir,
I
sir,
want the phone number, madam. I am from Coimbatore, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He
And
will,
Rajesh Babu.
yes, sir. He will share it in the. We will share it in the message box now, sir. I will share it. Jamuna, I will share it with you. You can take it from the message box, sir. Satya,
Yes.
Jamuna ma'am is asking. Dr. Jamuna is
that's all
asking, what is the quantity of milk that should be donated, or how much do you take? That is what she's asking.
லைக் இது வந்து மெஷர்மெண்ட் பண்ண முடியாது மேம். ஒருத்தங்களுக்கு நிறைய வரும், ஒருத்தங்களுக்கு கம்மியா வரும். ஸோ அவங்களுக்கு போக தான் குழந்தைக்கு தான் சொல்லுவாங்க, தனக்கு போக தான் தானமும் தர்மம். தான் குழந்தைக்கு போக எக்ஸ்ட்ரா இருக்க மில்க் அது 50 ml இருக்கலாம், ஒரு 100 ml இருக்கலாம், இல்லை 10 to 20 ml இருக்கலாம். லைக் எல்லாருமே வீட்டில் நமக்கு தாய்ப்பால் கவர்னு மெடிக்கல் ஷாப்ஸில் கிடைக்குது. அதை நம்மளே பம்ப் பண்ணி நார்மல் ஃப்ரீசிங் டெம்பரேச்சரில் வச்சு இங்கே ஸ்டோர் பண்ணிட்டா போதும். அவங்க எனக்கு கால் பண்ணாங்கன்னா என் டீம்லேருந்து யாராவது கலெக்ட் பண்ணி ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் சேர்த்துறோம். இல்லை டேரெக்டாக ஹாஸ்பிட்டலில் இது பண்ணுறீங்க அப்படின்னா ஹாஸ்பிட்டலேருந்து கலெக்ட் பண்ணிக்கவும் முடியும், நம்மளும் டேரெக்டாக கொண்டு போய் கொடுக்கவும் முடியும். நான் மெயினாக பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஃபர்ஸ்ட் 3 years வந்து பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீடிங்கை நான் வந்து என்கரேஜ் பண்ணேன். டேரக்ட் பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீடிங், ஒரு அம்மாட்டேருந்து இன்னொரு அம்மாவுக்கு டேரெக்டாக பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீட் பண்ணுறதுன்னு அவங்க அம்மாவே கூட்டு போய் இது பண்ணுவேன். இல்லாதவங்களுக்கு சில பேர் என்ன பண்ணுவாங்க, பம்ப் பண்ணி வீட்டில் பேக்கெட்டில் கொடுத்துருவாங்க. நான் போய் சங்கில் ஊற்றி குழந்தைக்கெல்லாம் நான் கொடுத்துருக்கேன். அது லைக் எப்படி இருக்குன்னா நானும் ஒரு அம்மா மாதிரி ஃபீல் ஆகும் எனக்கு. நான் ஒரு பையன் தான், லைக் இந்த விஷயத்த பேச வந்து ரொம்ப தயக்கமாக இருக்கும். சின்ன வயசில் வந்து யார்கிட்ட சொன்னாலும் வேணாண்டா லேடிஸ்ட்டை போயிட்டு நீ போய் பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீட்ல டேரக்ட் பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீட் பண்ணுறேன்னு சொல்கிற அளவுக்கு உனக்கு தைரியம் இருக்கா. அவர் மெக்கானிக்கல் டிபார்ட்மெண்ட் ஃபுல்லாக பசங்க மட்டும்தான் என்னோட கிளாஸில். ஸோ ஒரு பொண்ணுகிட்ட போய் நீ எப்படி பேசுவ அப்படின்னு சொல்லி நிறைய வந்து எனக்குள்ள வந்து எதிர்ப்புகள் தான் வந்துச்சு, இது பேசக்கூடாது, சென்சிட்டிவான டாபிக்னு. ஆனால் காலப்போக்கில் அது ரொம்ப மாறி இன்னைக்கு நான் எல்லா பெண்களுக்கும் சரி, என்னோட வயதில் பெரியவங்க சரி எல்லாத்தையுமே இந்த விஷயத்தை பேச முடியுது. அதுக்கான ஒரு ஃபோரம் ஆயிடுச்சு. 3 வருஷம் நான் பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா ஃபுல் அண்ட் ஃபுல் ஒரு 303 அம்மாங்களை சென்னையில் டொனேட் பண்ண வச்சேன், டைரக்ட் பிரஸ்ட் ஃபீட் பண்ண வச்சேன். ஸோ அதுக்கப்புறம் தான் சரி இது மட்டும் பத்தாது, நம்ம ஸ்டோர் பண்ணி வைக்கணும். நமக்கு நிறைய கான்டாக்ட் வந்துச்சு. ஏன்னா ஒருத்தங்களால திருப்பி பண்ண ஒரு 6 மாதம் டொனேட் பண்ணுவாங்க, அதுக்கப்புறம் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க. புதுசா ஜென்ரேட் பண்ண வேண்டியதா இருக்கும். ஸோ அப்பதான் யோசிச்சு நம்ம மில்க் பேங்க் இருந்தா ஸ்டோரேஜ் பண்ண முடிஞ்சதா ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்குன்னா ஒரு 6 மாசம் ஸ்டோரேஜ் பண்ணலாம் ஒரு நம்ம எடுத்துட்டு வர மில்கை. ஸோ அதுக்காக கட்டலாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி இது பண்ணதான் ஒரு 10 lakhs. நான் இப்போ நானும் ஒரு பெரிய பிக் ஃபேமிலில இருந்தெல்லாம் வரல. நான் வந்து ரொம்ப லோ கிளாஸ். நான் பாத்தீங்கன்னா ரோட் சைட்ல இந்த சுண்டல் விற்கிற மாதிரி அதிரசம் வித்துக்கிட்டு இருந்த பையன். இன்னைக்கு நான் ஒரு பிராண்டோட ஓனரா இன்னைக்கு அது ஸ்டெப் பை ஸ்டெப்பா வந்திருக்கேன். அப்படின்னா இந்த மாதிரி ப்ராஜெக்ட்ஸ் பண்ணும்போது எனக்கு கிடைச்ச பிளெஸிங்ஸ். அவ்வளவு குழந்தைங்களோட அம்மாங்க என்ன வந்து வாழ்த்திருக்காங்க. அதுதான் என்னோட பாசிட்டிவ் நினைக்கிறேன். இன்னைக்கு நான் பண்ணும்போது எனக்கு ஒரு பெரிய சந்தோஷம் என்னன்னா இவ்வளவு பேர் என்ன பிளஸ் பண்றாங்க. இப்ப நீங்களா பார்க்க கூட நீங்களே மனசுல வாழ்த்துவீங்கல்ல, இவ்வளவுதான். இந்த ஒரு ஹாப்பினஸ் போகுது. இந்த மாதிரி நிறைய பண்ணிக்கிட்டே இருக்கும்னு தோணுது.
Very good, Satya. That was really nice. Very nice. Just for the benefit of everybody, Satya's contact number is 95513611191. I will repeat 95513611191. I have also put it in the message box for everybody. You can please copy from that also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Doctor, if there is no, is there any more question or can we just continue?
No questions.
Okay.
Doctor,
Yes. Well then, Satya, thank you so much for being with us. Today we are also celebrating, the event is also for organ donation. So please stay with us because it's another important avenue. Thank you so much, Satya, for joining with us, and hats off to you. Kudos to you. Keep doing.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Satya.
Thanks, ma'am.
God bless you.
Thank you.
now I welcome. It's a great honor to welcome our well-known vascular surgeon, Dr. J. Amalur Pavanathan. Are you there? Amalur Pavanathan? Dr. Amalur Pavanathan?
Okay, let's give him
Dr. Amalur Pavanathan, he's there.
I'm there. Can you see me?
Yeah, no.
Can you see me now? I'm there.
Yes, Amalur.
Yeah.
To tell about Dr. J. Amalur Pavanathan, he has done his MBBS and passed out in 1982. He has done his Dip&B in general surgery from 1982 to 85. And he has done his MS general surgery in Stanley Medical College from 86 to 88. And he has done his MCH vascular surgery in Madras Medical College from year 1998 to 2000. He held up many positions in government as director, professor, and head of the Institute of Vascular Surgery in Madras Medical College. He is a consultant vascular surgeon in Rajiv Gandhi Government Rajiv Gandhi Hospital. He is a visiting consultant in vascular surgeon in Vijay Hospital. He is a member secretary of Transplant Authority of Tamil Nadu. He has received many awards. Only few of them I'm going to tell. He is a dynamic Indian of the Millennium of KG Hospital, Coimbatore. Another award is Lifetime Achievement Award by Madras Kidney Trust and Hypertension Research Foundation. And Gift of an Organ Award by Confederation of Indian Industry, Coimbatore. And he has received a Lifetime Achievement Award by Lions Club International. And he also received an award as For the Sake of Honor Award by Rotary Club of Madras West and Rotary Club of Vadapalani. And today is a usually World Organ Donation Day is usually observed in August 13 every year to raise awareness about the importance of organ donation and motivate people for donating organs after death. Donating an organ is highly valued. Now I welcome Dr. J. Amalur Pavanathan, vascular surgeon, to give a speech about brain death and organ donation. Over to Dr. J. Amalur Pavanathan.
Good evening. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you. Voice.
Can you hear me?
Increase.
Is the voice adequate?
Yes. Fine,
Yes.
sir.
Is the voice adequate? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Sir, I have your PPT with me, sir. Tell me when I have to share it.
Dear friends from Rotary Chennai Bharati, Dr. Renuka, dear friends from IMA Poonamali, and my dear classmate, Dr. Jamuna, Dr. Meenakshi, who gave a very educative lecture just a while ago. I learned a lot from that. I have lost my touch with pediatrics long time back. Very nice to listen to pediatrics after a long time. And above all, my special thanks to young boy, Satya. சத்யா, உங்களுக்கு ஒன்று சொல்லணும். நாங்கள் வந்து ஆர்கன் டொனேஷன் பற்றி பேசும்போதெல்லாம் என்ன சொல்லுவோம்? உயிரோடு இருக்கும்போது இரத்த தானம், மூளை சாவுக்கு பின் உடல் உறுப்பு தானம், இறந்த பின் உடல் தானம் சொல்லுவோம். இப்போ உயிரோடு இருக்கும்போது இரத்த தானத்தை கூட தாய்ப்பால் தானத்தையும் நான் இனிமேல் சேர்த்துக்கிறேன். உங்ககிட்ட நான் கற்றுக்கிறது அதுதான். உங்களுக்கு மிகவும் நன்றி. ஒரு சின்ன வயதுல இவ்வளவு பெரிய விஷயத்த இவ்வளவு சிம்பிளா எங்களை மாதிரி வயசானவங்களுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுத்துட்டீங்க. உங்களுக்கு மிக்க நன்றி. So today is the World Organ Donation Day. It's celebrated on various days in various countries. Before going on to this organ donation, you would have mostly read about kidney transplants and liver transplant and heart transplants, etc. I would give you a bird's eye view of how these things take place. It will be very short. After that, we can expand upon if it is necessary. So first slide, please.
Yeah, I'm sharing it, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I am very incompetent in these things.
No problem, sir.
Otherwise, I should be doing this.
It's okay. You are welcome, Dr. Amalur.
Dependent too much of dependency on children, no? So become lazy.
Just give me a moment.
I am not seeing the screen.
One
Yeah,
second.
no, this is the last scene. This is the last
Yes.
one. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I'm just going to play it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Can you see?
Thank you. Yeah, next slide, please. So what are the types of donations? As I said, see, I have left out blood donation and of course tissue donation and of course mother's milk donation. So apart from that, what are the types of donations we come across is, one is whole body donation. That is, after our death, you donate our body for medical research so that anatomy students can learn from us. Second is organ donations from live donors. A live person giving a kidney to another person, which you would have all heard of very frequently. Third is the organ donation from deceased donors. Deceased donors literally mean dead donors. See, death is of two ways now. One which we conventionally know, that where the heart stops and respiratory system stops. So that is called non-heart beating, technically. Your heart is not beating. So that is non-heart beating donors. Second is the recent concept, about 40-50 years concept, brain dead persons. In brain dead persons, the brain will be dead, but the heart will be beating and most of the other organs will be functioning well. So that is the latest concept in organ donations. So the whole body donation, as I said, will be helpful in medical education and research. It doesn't help any patient directly. So let us remember that. So how do we donate our body? We need to contact the nearest medical college. Professor of Anatomy department is the designated authority. A prescribed form is available. While we are alive, we can finish the paperwork. So when we are dead, the family can do all the last rites at home. Instead of taking us to the burial ground or crematorium, they can hand it over to anatomy department. So that will help many people education, medical education. I know several medical colleges do not have cadavers for dissecting. Jamuna, you will remember we have plenty of cadavers. No?
Yes.
Now I have seen only one cadaver surrounded by around 50 boys or 50 students, and nobody is able to see anything at all. So their anatomy and knowledge is quite sketchy. So more bodies are needed for many medical colleges, because we are starting more and more new medical colleges, but we don't have cadavers. So it's a good gesture that after death, instead of burying or burning, can donate the bodies to medical education. Even God will like that. So next slide, please. Now coming to live donation. Any normal person in sound mind can donate one kidney. This is the commonest donation we know, kidney donation. Second is a part of liver can be donated. This is happening mostly for children who have congenital liver diseases like glycogen storage disorders, where the child will be born severely jaundiced and the liver shriveled and shrunk, etc. The mother can donate part of her liver. It's very good. So, and the child lives near to a child. Two adults can also, one adult can also donate to, can you see me?
Yes.
Yeah. So one adult can also donate part of the liver to another younger person or a very lean person. That's also possible. And a normal person can also donate part of the skin. Skin is needed to give good cover for especially burns patients. Most of the burn patients die because of denudation. This denudation can be promptly addressed by giving a good and early skin cover. So skin donation is also possible when a person is alive. And live donations can be done to one, you can donate to your near relative. In law, a near relative is father, mother, husband, wife, and children, and grandparents. These are the near relatives. Within near relatives, you can donate to anyone who is needy. The second category is non-near relative. That is anybody who is not related. To anybody who is not, but you can donate by reason of affection and attachment towards recipient. This clause is introduced to prevent selling. So what is the procedure for live donations? As I said, if they are near relatives between father and mother, etc., the hospital itself will have a competent authority. Any hospital, supposing you have a kidney failure, I go to a big hospital where they do kidney transplant. The hospital head itself can authorize between near relatives because you will verify their documents, father to son, mother to son, or son to mother, or sister to brother, etc. They will verify and they themselves can sanction that transplant. Whereas for non-near relatives, that is for distant relatives and non-relatives at all, strangers, state government has to authorize that because there can be a lot of fishy things in that. There can be a lot of manipulations in that. So the state government will appoint an authorization committee. In Tamil Nadu, there are 3 authorization committees, one in Chennai, one in Coimbatore, and one in Madurai, all appointed by Tamil Nadu government. So the donor and the recipient must go to the committee and present themselves with all the documents just to prove that though they are non-near relatives, they are donating out of love and affection and not due to monetary considerations. So the government will examine all the reports and then sanction that transplant. Non-heart beating is, as I said, clinically dead. One, they can be dead on arrival. So, see, in non-heart beating, patient arrives just in the hospital, but he is dead. Or he arrives in the hospital very, very sick. You try to resuscitate, but you are not able to resuscitate, and he dies in the hospital. Or person who is awaiting a cardiac arrest, very, very sick person, you know is going to die, you withdraw all the supports, and you are waiting is dead. And a person who is seriously brain dead, while you are arranging for brain death donation, he develops cardiac arrest. These persons can donate solid organs because they are dying inside the hospital, and immediately you can put a cannula and heparinize and prepare the organs. See, normally, if a person dies at home, the organs cannot be harvested for the simple reason, once the heart stops, blood will clot in all the organs. Once blood clots, the organs are destroyed. Nothing can go into the organ or nothing can come out of the organ. So you cannot use such organs. Whereas these persons, as I said, dead on arrival or unsuccessful resuscitation, etc., they are dying inside the hospital. Just before the blood clots, you put in a catheter and heparinize the whole blood so that the blood doesn't clot. And then immediately harvest, those organs can be used. But it's a very, very difficulty, much easier said than done. Because the moment the person is dead, you will have to cut down his femoral artery, put in a cannula and put flush saline, etc. Heparin, saline, etc. You must be prepared, theater must be prepared, immediately harvesting should take place. All these things are difficult. So non-heart beating may be suitable for kidneys, but not suitable for other organs. Though there are some liver and pancreas are done this way, the best results are for kidneys. not for other solid organs. Next slide, please. Whereas brain dead persons, that is heart beating cadavers, where the heart is beating, blood is pumped into all the organs and all the organs are kept alive, but only the brain is dead. Now, such patients, you can take heart, you can take 2 lungs, you can take liver, you can take pancreas, you can take small intestine, and you can take 2 kidneys. In addition, you can take tissues also. You can take skin, you can take hip joint, knee joint, ear bones, of course, cornea, all those things can be donated. So, brain dead person can definitely give life to 8 or more persons. Next slide, please. In brain death, there are 2 technical terms. One is brain death, another is brain stem death. See, in US, if you have to declare a person is brain dead, his whole cortex should be dead, whole brain should be dead. In other words, there should not be any activity in EEG. If you recollect your MBBS days, EEG just records electrical activity in the cortex. It does not record electrical activity from elsewhere in the brain. It records electrical activity from the surface of the brain, cortex mainly. So in America, if a person has to be brain dead, his whole brain has to die. Whereas in India and England and all, brain stem death is enough. That is, if the pons, medulla and brain stem is dead, that particular brain stem area is dead. And if it is proven so, EEG is not needed for that. Clinical tests are enough. Apnea test is enough. If brainstem alone is dead, you can take it as a whole brain death in India, in England, and several countries, because it's the brainstem which controls the respiratory center, cardiac center, ascending reticular activation system. And I will come to that later. Next slide, please. So why is brainstem important part of the brain? Why do we say that if the brainstem goes, the whole brain goes? Because brainstem is the compressed zone of the central nervous system. All the sensory fibers go through brainstem. All the motor fibers go through sensory brainstem. Most of the cranial nerve nuclei are in that small 2 centimeter range of brainstem. It is the seat of respiratory center. If the respiratory center is gone, everything is gone. And it's the seat of ascending reticular activating system. Ascending reticular activating system is what keeps us alive and active. I am speaking to you and you are listening to me because both of our ascending reticular activating system is active. If the ascending reticular activating system is gone, we are comatose. Lastly, unlike the brain which requires EEG, brainstem functions can be tested bedside by cranial nerve testing itself. As I said, all the cranial nerves come out from that brainstem. So if you test the cranial nerves, you test the brainstem. So that's the simplest way to test the brainstem. No sophisticated gadgets are needed. Next slide. So why do we prefer brain dead donors? As I said, the organs will be well maintained. They will be perfusing with fresh blood, so they will be well maintained. There are negligible ischemic or anoxic or injuries to the organs. Ischemia and anoxia produces profound injuries to organs and make them unfit for transplant. Whereas in brain dead, they are well perfused, well oxygenated, so they are well preserved. It gives enough time for organ harvesting and selecting suitable recipients. See, in transplant, it's not necessary just you have a donor. You must find out a suitable recipient. You would have had a suitable recipient, suddenly he will develop sickness, or there may be a lockdown, he may not be able to come from a distant place, or at that time he may not have enough money to travel, or there may be a function in his house. So many ifs and buts are there. So to select a suitable recipient, you need some time. That time you can maintain this person donor on ventilator, so without any problem. So this gives you a lot of time for planning a suitable donor and a suitable recipient. Because your planning is good, your results will be very good. Next slide. So this is the brainstem. The small area is what governs your life. That's the area of all the vital cranial nerve nuclei, respiratory center, cardiac center, ascending reticular activating system, etc. Next slide. Next slide, please. Same in a different view. You see how many cranial nerves come out from that small area. You see the medulla, you see the pyramidal tract, you see the cross pyramidal tract, you see pons. Almost all the vital structures are, this is like a zip zone in the brain. Everything has to pass through this. So imagine you have a big house. You have a lot of lights, fans, fridge, AC, etc. but all the electrical lines have to go through one junction box. If that junction box is gone, everything is gone. So this is exactly like a junction box in the brain. Everything has to go through this junction box. That is why brainstem death causes the whole brain death. Next slide, please. So a little bit of philosophy. Mankind had always been thinking about what is death. I was reading a novel by a novelist called Joe Nesbo. He raised a very important question. Everybody wants to know what is the meaning of life. Has everyone thought about what is the meaning of death? So just like life has meaning, death should also have some meaning. So even in death, even in death,
Please mute yourself. Please mute.
so that's okay. Even in death, our life must have had a meaning. So somebody has to mute.
Yeah, I can. I'm just checking everyone, and everyone is on mute.
Dr. S. Rekha. Dr. S. Rekha, ma'am. Dr. S. ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Please
Mute yourself.
Ma'am, please mute. Mute yourself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have muted her.
Dr.
Yeah.
S. Rekha, ma'am.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
muted her. I have muted.
Okay. So traditionally, in the tribal society, or say 4,000, 5,000 years ago, man did not know what death is. So when the whole body decays and smells and stinks, the patient is dead. Today, we don't wait till such time, you know. When the heart stops, you know, the person is dead. So we arrange for cremation or funeral, etc. Do you know in Middle East Europe, in the middle centuries in Europe, if a person joins a monastery, or even in Hindu tradition, if a person joins monastery, he is considered to be dead. He retreats from the civil society. They will remove his name from all the civil registers. So even in India, Vanaprastha is supposed to be a retreating from the civil society. It's almost equivalent to death philosophically. So coming to cardiac death was the commonest form of death for about 4,000 years. When the heart stops, we know the person is dead. But now from cardiac death, we went to whole brain death. As I said, in America, you wait for the whole brain to die and then you declare brain death. We went one step further in countries like England and India and several other countries. We now say when the brainstem alone is dead, it's enough. Everything is gone. You can declare the person as dead. So we have progressed from death of all cells in the body, trillions of cells, to death of brainstem alone. This is the progress we have made in death, as we have made in medicine too. So what are the three conceptual states? From total cellular death, we went to cardiac death. This happened in a short span of time, some 5,000 years ago. From 5,000 years ago till very recently, we were with cardiac death. Now, from cardiac death to total brain death, we took so many years, some 4,000, 5,000 years. Now, from total brain death to brainstem death, we have arrived in 40, 50 years. So today, whole world, except say US, accepts brainstem death. Next slide, please. So in US, if you see this slide, the vegetative stage leads to whole brain death. Whole brain death alone is accepted as brain death, not the vegetative state. Whereas in UK, just a small area, brainstem death, is made equivalent to whole brain death. This is the difference between US and UK. Next slide, please. Definition of brainstem death. This is the Indian law. We have accepted the UK model, and this is the definition given in our Indian Act, and this is legal in India. Brainstem death means the stage at which all functions of brainstem have permanently and irreversibly ceased and is so certified. These are the keywords. One is all functions of brainstem must stop, not one or two functions. All functions should stop. 2, they must stop permanently and irreversibly. And lastly, it must not only stop, it must be certified correctly. So if you fulfill all these criteria, you can certify a man brain stem dead. Next slide, please. What is the procedure? First is irreversibility is proved by doing the test for brainstem death once and then repeat it after 6 hours. If they don't change, you have proved it is irreversible. Nothing has changed in 6 hours, nothing is going to change ever. Then I said it must be certified. Ordinary death is certified by a registered medical practitioner. All of us can certify ordinary death. Whereas if you want to certify brain death, it has to be certified by a team of 4 doctors, not one doctor. And these 4 doctors must test the patient once now and once 6 hours later. So it is that strict. It is not easy. So there is no mischief at all. All the 4 doctors have to test the person twice, once now and once 6 hours later, and all the 4 doctors have to sign. Next one. Is brainstem death infallible? Yes, it is infallible because we are testing it twice, not one doctor sign. The 4 doctors are signing, and most world countries have recognized it. Till today, for the past 25 years, India has legislated in 1994. Till today, not a single mistake has been ever reported. This is to the credit of the doctors all over the world. Even in normal death certification, you would have heard of man getting up in the crematorium or getting up in the forensic room or getting up in the morgue and all. But nothing of that sort has happened in brainstem death because 4 doctors have to certify and certify it twice. So it is a very, very correct method, accurate method. So one need not doubt the doctors whether they are over certifying. It is not possible. Next slide. So the basic position is, first is irreversible loss of brainstem must be proven. Second, it can be proven easily, operationally. It can be proven at the bedside. Third, irreversibility. How do you prove irreversibility? First is exclude all the reversible causes. For example, hypothermia can mimic brain death. Severe hypothyroidism can mimic brain death. Several endocrinal disorders can mimic brain death. Barbiturate poisoning can mimic brain death. Hypothermic coma can mimic brain death. So you rule out all of them. Once you rule out all of them, only you can do this certification. Then once you rule out all these causes, and once you see an extensive brainstem damage, either by MRI or PET scan, etc., then you can certify brain. So these are the ways you avoid pitfalls and avoid mistakes. Next slide, please. So brainstem death is defined like this. The essential element of brain death is brainstem death. Brain death is actually brainstem death. If brainstem function is irreversibly lost, what goes on elsewhere in the brain is immaterial. Life cannot return. Brainstem death is the physiological core of brain death. You remember, as we are MBBS students or in a house agency days, we will be called to certify death. When we go to the ward, Jamuna, do you remember in KMC and Rayapeta? First thing is we will auscultate. Second is we will put the torch and see the pupils. What are you seeing in the pupils? You are actually testing brainstem. So actually we are testing brainstem. We are not satisfied only with our stethoscope. We want a torch. We want to see the pupils. Pupillary reaction is a function of brainstem. That is why we always go for fixed dilated pupils in certifying death, because it indicates brainstem death. Next slide, please. So why brainstem certification is important? It relieves the distress to relatives. Otherwise, you know the person is not going to come back, is brain dead. How long will you maintain on ventilator? Today, you know, ventilators are so important in COVID era. Many people are dying without ventilators. Why do you maintain a person who is already brain dead on ventilator? That ventilator can be given to somebody else to save the life. It is bad for the nursing staff because the nurses know that the man is not going to come back. But they will be forced to nurse him, forced to do right tube feeding, forced to attend to the urinary catheters, forced to attend the back, etc., dental hygiene, all knowing very well that the person is not going to recover. So it is a very bad morale for nursing staff. Limited facilities are now denied to others. As I said, ventilators are in great demand. Remove that ventilator and use it for somebody else. Cost effectiveness. Today, you know, a ventilator costs around 50,000 to 1 lakh in any ICU in anywhere in the country. So unnecessary expenditure to the family when they know that for certain that the person cannot return to life. And only when you certify brain death correctly, you will get heart, lung, and other major organs for transplanting to others who are needy. Next slide, please. This is actually a brainstem death caused by hanging. When we hang a person, we actually produce brainstem death. Will you allow me 1 minute? I have to take an emergency call.
Yes, sir.
That's okay. That's gone. Don't worry. So, what are the preconditions? The patient must be on comatose patient. He must be on a ventilator. Anybody who is not on a ventilator cannot be brain dead. 2, the definite cause of coma should be identified. We must identify the cause of coma. 3rd, you must prove there is a structural brain damage which is irreversible, either by CT scan or MRI or PET scan. You must prove that there is a gross brain damage. So unless you have these preconditions, you cannot. See, this is about 13-14 world studies which are done on brain dead persons. They maintain them on ventilators infinitely for a long time, just to see what happened. You see, out of 1,036 persons, you see the last column, not one survived. The maximum survival was around 72 hours, but not beyond that. This was done, of course, long time back, 1980s. So only when they know that not a single person survived, the world accepted brainstem death. Then only the laws were passed to make brainstem death equivalent to clinical death. Next slide, please. So why is brainstem certification important? It is the surest way to improve availability of organs. We must remember this. Today is a World Organ Day. So if you want more organs, we must be certifying more brainstem deaths so that more people with kidney failure, liver failure, heart failure, etc. can be helped. It is the surest way to reduce the demand, reduce the kidney rackets. Why would anybody go and buy in a market when it is available from a brain dead person? Nobody would do that. So you make the supply abundant by producing brain dead persons' kidneys available free of cost without any monetary consideration. So this is the only way that the poorest will also get organs in government sectors. Otherwise, if you promote only live transplant, only rich people will get, poor people will not get. If you want poor people to get, you must certify more brain deaths in government sector. So to conclude, to live is to function. As Satya has told very eloquently, we must do all types of donations we are alive. To live is to function. That is all there is to living. If you are dead, nothing. So while we are alive, let us do as many donations as possible. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind listening.
Thank you very much, Ambar Pavanathan, for the wonderful session. Thank you. Suguna?
Thank you. Yeah, that was really a wonderful session, sir. A lot of insight that we got and we learned as non-doctors. I'm not I mean, most of us who have joined today, it's a wonderful knowledge, because the moment we say organ donation, we were all, we had a lot of other notions in mind, but today I think all the questions got cleared and thank you so much for that.
Thank you,
sir,
Ms. Suguna.
Yeah, there is a question for
Sir,
you.
question, sir.
Message, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, madam. Question.
Yes, sir.
Madam, I am Dr. Rajesh Babu from Coimbatore, madam.
Yes, sir.
I like to ask few questions to Dr. Ambar Pavanathan, sir.
Yes.
Sir, regarding the pancreatic transplant, sir.
Yes.
What about the percentage of pancreatic transplant in our country at present, sir?
Very low. Very low. Very low.
Sir, as far as you know, how much people might have been transplanted from the brain dead persons?
Less than 100.
Less than 100. Sir, then another question is, sir, regarding the when we transport the organs from one place to another place. For example, when they are traveling through the aeroplane, sir, the screening whether it is needed in the airport for the organs or not.
No, see, that kind of X-ray will not harm the organs. Now,
we need to screen the organs or not?
You need to screen everything that goes through the airport, no?
So,
somebody might smuggle a bomb.
Sir, actually, there will be a lot of artery forceps and all those things in the thing, no, sir?
Sorry?
A lot of artery forceps and all the things will be there,
no, artery forceps, nothing.
Yes, sir.
only organ with ice and sludge, and it's packed in a very definite scientific way. There are very good scientific ways to pack it. Three-layer packing. So
Yes, sir.
there won't be any metals inside.
So it can be, it should be screened.
It must be screened.
Oh, it's compulsory.
Yeah, that is the international regulation. Somebody might smuggle a bomb inside that box saying that there is
Yes,
an
sir.
organ.
Yes, sir.
We won't know.
Yes, sir. Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you, Doctor. We have one more question on the message from Mr. Yogesh. He says, in brainstem death, would the electroencephalogram be flat?
In brainstem death, it need not be flat. There will be still some cortical activities. That is why EEG is not necessary.
He is the same person is asking another question.
Just a minute. I will come down. I will come. Hello. Hello.
Madam, the other question I will answer,
Somebody,
madam.
yeah, please. Somebody
Yes.
was trying to contact me urgently. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
Yogesh, sir, you can ask.
In Guillain-Barré syndrome, the EEG will be normal. It won't be affected. That was the question that I was asked.
Okay.
Yeah, Guillain-Barré syndrome is not an indication for
Yeah.
brain death.
Amala sir, your talk was very excellent, sir. I am Devigan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Devigan. Hi, how are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, fine, fine.
The-
So
to
very
just,
nice. Yeah.
just give me one more second to introduce Devigan. Because of
Hello,
Devigan, we had hundreds of brainstem deaths certified in Government General Hospital. In fact, we can call him the father of brain death certification in Tamil Nadu. Welcome, Devigan.
Welcome,
Father
sir.
of
Welcome.
brain death,
Welcome,
sir.
sir. Welcome, sir.
Not able to
Father of
see.
brain death.
No. Because of him, thousands got life in Government General Hospital. Very poor people. You must recognize.
Oh, very nice, sir.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
nice.
you, sir.
I am one of the students of Dr. Devigan, sir.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
I am from Coimbatore, sir.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any
So I have
further
one question.
Yes.
Hello,
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'm Dr. Kamalakannan. You have heard about that, how that organ donation started in a great way after Dr. Ashokan and Dr. Pushpanjali Ashokan
Yes,
donated
yes,
their
yes.
sons.
Yes.
After
Correct.
that only it revolutionized.
Yes. You are right. After that only it happened. Yes. But meanwhile, we were preparing all the GOs and processes, and this happened. After that, it kicked off very well. You are right.
But we certified the first case in 1998, sir.
Sorry, nga?
We certified it first case in 1998 itself.
Yes. I know.
Yeah, actually 97. We
97,
certified first in GH and
Okay.
then second one at Stanley.
Okay. Devigan will know the history better.
Yeah, and subsequently only that Dr. Sun gave the organ.
Yeah. They gave in 2008, I think. They gave in 2008. Yeah. October.
See.
Yeah, if another stock goes in the mind of everyone, so that if you come across any of your patients, relatives, or somebody known to you who is in a state of brainstem death, if you can just ask them to donate organs, then this talk would have fulfilled its ambition.
Thank you, Devigan. Thank you,
Definitely.
Devigan. Much needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Sure, sir. Sure. Yes, ma'am.
Amlur Ponadhan,
Thank you very much.
இது
There's a
சொல்லுங்க.
question coming up, madam. There's a question
COVID
coming up there. There's a question by Dr. Vasanta. Which specialty doctor or to certify brainstem death?
Devigan, you yourself answer that.
Any intensivist can certify brainstem death. Any neurosurgeon or neurologist can certify brainstem death. These are the two persons who are really authorized. The other person to be co-opted in the team. Intensivist.
Actually, there are 4 persons are compulsory, no, sir. One is
No,
the
no.
duty doctor in the hospital, sir. That is compulsory,
Yes.
sir.
Rajesh Babu
Another one is the intensivist, sir. Then another one is the neurologist or neurosurgeon from the same hospital, sir. And another one is compulsorily from an outside person should be there, sir. That is the main thing.
No.
Government doctors.
No need for outside person. That and all.
Rajesh, I think this lecture is mainly about organ donation. We will leave out the technicalities. We can discuss the technicalities later. This is only about organ donation.
Yeah.
We know that 4 doctors need to be signing that. That's all.
Tell us something about the COVID period, Amalar Pranathan.
What to say about COVID period? We are all doing the same thing as you are doing. All the 60 plus people are at home. All the young people are working for us.
Okay. So it is standstill. Organ donation is standstill.
No. Even now some organ donation takes place, but the number is much less. It takes place. Yeah.
Thank you, Amalar.
Thank you very much, Jamuna.
Thank you very
Thank you very much, Dr. Amalar Pranathan, sir.
Thank you
We
very
are
much.
honored to have you here.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sugna.
Thank
you very much, Ms.
Okay.
Dr.
Renuka, Dr. Renuka. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Is okay, Sugna, shall we proceed?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Welcome. Vote of thanks by Dr. Renuka Ramakrishnan.
Yeah. Good evening to one and all. Thank you very much for this opportunity given for Rotary Club of Chennai Bharat. Really about breastfeeding awareness. Ma'am spoke, Dr. Meenakshi was so really wonderful presentation, and I think people who are non-medicals are also watching on Facebook Live. So I'm very happy that this has reached, and I'm of course thankful to all the Rotarians who are joined today, and also all the Rotarians who have joined from the district, RA district 3232 also, and all the IMA senior doctors. I am very really happy that in spite of your busy schedule, you have given time for us and you're doing so many things. I'm very thankful to IMA main president as well as secretary, Dr. Sir, Dr. Nagulanda Rao, and Dr. Jamuna ma'am, and Dr. C.S. Shetty sir. Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity, and thank you on behalf of Rotary Club of Chennai Bharati, President Rotarian Sarnalata Mahesh. I extend a heartfelt thanks to every one of you. Thank you so much, and really it was a very interesting session. Dr. Amalar Pranathan sir, I always wanted to see you in my lifetime, but I think today only I had an opportunity to see you at least in Zoom. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the nice talk.
Yeah, we thank everyone who is here on behalf of IMA and RCCB. And in fact, we thank IMA and Jamuna ma'am especially for giving us an opportunity to join such a lovely program. It was a wonderful program, ma'am. It is an eye-opener for many of us in various things. Let's keep doing these kind of programs so that it spreads everywhere. Thank you, Satya, for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Satya, for joining us.
Thank you.
Ma'am, unga voice kekla. Jamuna ma'am, your voice is not clear.
Voice kekliya.
Now it's clear. Now it's clear.
Vote of thanks by Dr. C.S. Shetty. Sir. C.S. Shetty. Shetty sir. Shetty sir.
Where is he? Let me see.
He's not there. Huh?
I think he's not there. I don't see any initiative. Subbu sir. Subbu sir is there. Subbu sir.
Subbu sir.
Yes, he's there.
And
Yes,
members,
yes.
I want to tell you that Dr. J. Amalar Pranathan is our branch member.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's very good. Very good. I have not met him.
Yes.
Okay, now all I will say is I do not want to repeat thanking everybody because Dr. Soguna has already thanked everybody. I don't want to go on repeating the same thing. It was a beautiful experience today for me. And I thank everyone, each one of you for enlightening me on behalf of Punamali High Road branch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Uyirotam Satya. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for joining us. Madam Meenakshi, madam, thank you.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Suguna.
Yes, thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Jamuna ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Suguna.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
all.
Thank you.
Sir, thank you.
Hope we have
Stetika.
more meetings.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll definitely have. Let's think of a nice topic for the next time. Again,
Thank you, Rotarian
something to do with
Chitra,
medical.
Rotarian Rajeshwari ma'am,
Yes,
Rotarian Sujita, thank you, Chitra, and Rotarian Raji ma'am.
yes. Dr. Meenakshi.
Dr.
ma'am
Meenakshi is on
also-
duty, I think.
Yeah.
All set to go for duty. Best wishes, ma'am. Really nice it was.
Yes. Thank you, Pasuguna.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
all.
much, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Yeah. Bye. Good
Thank you
evening.
all.
Yeah.
Good evening.